You're right, guys. So what we're going to be doing today is replacing the shifter base bushers. So we're going to be moving the interior console of the car and replacing the bushers that there's 3 rubber bushers on the actual shifter itself inside the car. Over time they get soft and that creates a little bit more play in the gear stick itself. So we're going to get those amended. What I've done is I bought a really cheap kit that came with 3 shifter bushers, silver ones. Now these are not on show. You can buy hybrid racing ones, you can buy Acuity ones. They're on about 35-40 quid for a set of 3 bushers. And they're just little aluminium bits and bobs. The Acuity ones do look very nice, they're purple. The hybrid racing ones are black, they're very nice. But you're never going to see them because they're lost underneath the console. These are about 4 quid off AliExpress. And they're billet aluminium, they're exactly the same thing. It comes with the little short shifter kits that you buy, the dirt cheap short shifter kits. They're about 15 quid on eBay, but AliExpress they're only about 5 quid or something. So we're going to attempt to attack that. So what I've got here is just a second section of my last video, if you like, where I was doing the handbrake cables. I've already got the center console, the main center console out. I'll include the video now, which is just a recap on how to remove that. In the back of the car now, so the interior is really simple. So the first 2, you want to get the seats all the way forward, and there's these little clips here. Flick one off, and then there's you can either use a 10mm or a 10mm or a Phillips screwdriver on it. I've had these apart many times before, like when I did all my sound deadening, so I know that they're not obscenely tight. Put that bolt down there for safekeeping. There's another one here. That's that one out. And then from memory there's 2 more on the front portion. Yep, there is. So we need to move the seats back now. So with the seats all the way back, you can see the other one. There's one on each side. Little screwdriver, flick the cap off, and another 10mm stroke Phillips screw. Easy. Put him down there. On the passenger side now, other clip, same as the others. Flick the cap off. Phillips screwdriver or your 10mm, whatever you choose. Depends on how tight they are. Once that's out, that is out. Right, what I suggest you do is remove any accessories from your cigarette lighter. And we will go back in the back. That was the way I did it last time. So once you're in the back of the car, you've got those 4 bolts out. The center console now will literally just lift up. You lift it up at the front, and it clips out of the middle compartment. Back even. And there we go. You lift the handbrake cable up, handbrake lever up, and everything should start coming apart. Like so. Right, so you've got one plug down here on the cigarette lighter, so remove that. It's now off and free, and we can stand up and try and awkwardly to do this with one hand. Then we're going to lift it off like that. There should be some more plugs on the bottom, which are not yet plugged in. Nope, that's fine. And that reveals our handbrake mechanism. So you've recapped on how to remove that. You've got rid of that center console. You've got a bare gear stick like this, and all your other trims there. So how do we get this apart? Well, firstly, there's 2 more caps in here with screws in it, the same sort of screws that you took out of the middle console. Mine aren't in because I'm sound deadened and the car is too fat there. So there's none in mine. Firstly, we need to remove the gear stick itself. The gear knob, sorry. So gear knob off. we may need a pair of pliers to get that off, but we'll have a look at that. Get a pair of pliers, remove that off, and we'll get the gear gaiter itself off. Now this centre part does come apart. I like to push it from underneath instead of trying to pry it from the top. Push it from underneath. Makes sense while it's all apart. While you've got that apart. So I'll just remove this hybrid racing shifter thing. It's not going to be relevant to many of you because say this is a little extra that I've put on this, but I'll come back to you once I've got this off. That's my hybrid racing collar taken off. This centre section is then released, and we can see what we are actually attacking here. So we've got 1 bolt, 2 bolts, 3 bolts. Now these bolts have to come out, so we need to get this shifter out altogether. And basically the rubber around the bottom of that, we're going to be removing that and then putting these aluminium collars in. So just popped out to take my car off its axle stands because I've realised that I need to have my handbrake on. So my handbrake's now on and the car is now out of gear. That's important. Make sure it's in neutral. Right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to start removing some of this plastic because we need to get at this thing. So we need to start removing some of this plastic. First thing to do is come around to this side. I've already got a couple of little marks in this from where I've done it before. You want to attack the top corner or so. Flick this out. There's 1 bolt screw in this side, look. So that screw is out. This is dead easy. Same process for fitting a double din. Right, and then this should all then pull down. So this is all on clips. That is the entire thing, should pull all the way down, and then that frees that off. Okay, we'll just leave that hanging there. Right, once you've removed your 2 bolts out the side of this, there's 1 either side. Oh, there's actually a couple either side. This will then start to move it out. It pulls towards you. Move my other hand. There's 1 in the middle there that don't want to let go. So there we go. And that removes that centre console. Now this can be a bit tricky, especially with 1 hand, but then that centre console moves out the way like that. Okay, so you see me do that with 1 hand. That's how easy it is to do. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to get these 3 bolts out here. So make sure we've got the correct sockets, which we do. I'll get an extension on this. We'll start removing these 3 bolts here. First of all, actually, before we do, we'll just quickly demonstrate the flex in these bushes. So, if you're looking at this directly and we move the shifter across and we pull it, can you see that slight movement? So it's just an extra bit of movement in them bushes, look. Tiny, it is tiny, but that's an extra bit of movement in them bushes, and that's what these are eliminating. Hope that's coming through. It's a fractional, but it's there. So I'll whip these bolts out, and there's 3 bushes out the shifter. It's all moving about. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and flick these bushes out. There's like an aluminium bit in the middle that should push through, in theory. it does. And once that's pushed through, you can then replace it with the other part. You may need to push it upwards. We'll do a bottom one just for show. So on the bottom one, right, it won't push that way, it has to push downwards. So there we go. That's the original bolt there, the original insert. And the rubber surround is here. Which is very stiff. Right, I'm going to need 2 hands to get these out, so I'll get back to you. Use a screwdriver to flick those rubber bushes out, which is these guys here. So you push the middle out from the bottom. This guy, that's the original. And then what we're doing is we're replacing it with our solid mount, which simply just pushes in to the hole. That is it. And then the bolt clamps it down. So that fits in the groove lovely. The bolt clamps it down. So I'm going to do the other 2 and then we'll get it bolted. The others are out. It should look something like this. You line the shifter back up with the holes that it was originally bolted onto, which was those. And you bolt it back up. We'll get those bolts back in and have a look, see how much play that's back in. And as we can see, there is no movement in that whatsoever now when we're cranking that over. There's no wobble in it whatsoever. Before there was like a slight wobble, but now it's absolutely solid. So we've got on this now the shifter bushes, the detents and the selector springs. So that's every mod we can possibly do, bar a shifter itself. This is actually the Mugen shifter, which looks no different to the OEM, but it is slightly shorter than the OEM. We could go hybrid racing to get something that looks a bit nicer, but so we're going to keep this for now. Previous owner put it on, so we'll go from there. What I am going to do is I'm just going to lube these joints up with some white silicone grease that I've got. We'll get them lubed up and then we'll get this rebuilt. And that is it. That is it for rebuilding, for putting shifter bushes in. Case of putting everything back as you got it, as you found it. So give it a grease if you've got the means. But that is it. That's how you fit shifter bushes.
I hope that helps. Cheers, guys.